So Sheryl Swoopes is at it again. And by at it again, I mean she's running her mouth. This time she's coming after Sophie Cunningham. We all know Sophie Cunningham sent a pretty loud message. By the way, a message that wouldn't have been needed had the WNBA referees done their job during that Connecticut Sun-Indiana Fever game, instead of just being like, nah, nothing to see here. We'll just let everybody that assaulted Caitlin Clark just stay in this game.
What happens when a WNBA legend decides she's had enough of fake fouls and wannabe enforcer energy? Sheryl Swoopes just verbally dunked on Sophie Cunningham, calling her out for acting like a bodyguard instead of a baller. And of course, Caitlin Clark got pulled right into the center of the drama like the league's most polite chaos magnet. If you thought things were cooling off, think again. This showdown is spicy, messy, and somehow personal in the weirdest way possible.
My favorite person in the WNBA. It's been a minute, but I mean, there's been so many things going on of late that, not talking about her. God, I almost feel bad that I've neglected her. Like my neglecting. I'm sorry. Sheryl Swoopes, I am so sorry for having neglected you. Not really. I should have been talking about you more in the dumb shit that you do, the dumb shit that you say, but I haven't. I try to let that stuff slide off, because it gets a little redundant when you constantly have to remind people about what a fucking idiot this woman is. But,
It finally happened, the moment every WNBA drama addict's been thirsting for. No, not a blockbuster trade or a sideline scuffle. Something juicier. Sheryl Swoopes eyes that Sheryl Swoopes just dove headfirst into the messy reality show that is WNBA. Discourse and lit Sophie Cunningham all the way up. Why? Because Sophie had the audacity to play physical, be herself, and support Caitlin Clark. Oh no, how dare she?
Sheryl Swoopes, back in the news, getting pushback from fans, calling out Lexi Hall, Sophie Cunningham, calling out Stephanie White. Oh, I don't know about coaching decisions, blah, 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 blah. Sheryl Swoopes, what do you have to say for yourself?
Apparently, we've reached the point where defending your teammate is a high crime, especially if that teammate is Caitlin Clark. The same Caitlin who can knock down logo threes with her eyes closed and still gets checked like she's crashing a hockey game. Enter Sophie Cunningham, who dared to exist on the court with intensity and loyalty. What a menace.
By and large, that hadn't happened until the other night when Sophie Cunningham gave J.C. Sheldon the Steven Seagal Aikido move at the end of the game. And everybody lost their minds. Now, keep in mind, this is Sheryl Swoopes hating ass, lovingly hugging Angel Reese. And the reason I'm showing this is because Angel Reese gave Caitlin Clark the clothesline from hell last year. Angel Reese celebrated Kennedy Carter's slam in to Caitlin Clark. All right? Angel Reese racially shaded Caitlin Clark earlier in the year in a social media post, talking about she was too scared to fight.
According to Swoopes, that's just too much, too dirty, too aggressive, and way too supportive, because God forbid someone actually ride for Caitlin Clark without being dragged by the league's self-appointed morality patrol.
That's neither here nor there. Let's talk about what's going on right now with Sheryl Swoopes, or what's not going on with Sheryl Swoopes. Does she even have a job now? Like, does she even have a job? Did all of her disdain and public scrutiny and public hate for Caitlin Clark get her fired from everything? Hey man, you said it with your chest, and now you got to eat the consequences of your words, because your words are not for the benefit of the WNBA.
But let's not act like this wasn't coming. The moment Sophie posted up like a nightclub bouncer at a sharpshooter convention, the basketball purists went into full panic mode. And Sheryl, she went full-on broadcast vigilante. She didn't just question Sophie's playstyle, she went scorched earth The commentary sounded less like analysis and more like a roast session from a group chat with bad Wi-Fi. The irony? Sophie didn't throw anyone into the stands. She did what every gritty player does: get hard screens, boxed out like rent was due, and dared to shield Caitlin from yet another cheap shot. And suddenly, that's a problem. Now physicality is a felony as long as it's wearing an Indiana jersey and a ponytail. Cue the outrage from Legacy Voices sitting courtside with pearl necklaces and think pieces locked and loaded.
Yeah, just go tomorrow. You're on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
Can be at Las Vegas expect yourself.
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so.
Now loyalty's a crime, grit is villainized, and Sophie's suddenly public enemy number one in a league that supposedly celebrates toughness unless it comes with a side of sass and unapologetic defense. Sheryl Swoopes, in case you forgot, is a certified WNBA legend. Rings, gold medals, her name's basically etched into league history. And yet here she is, acting like Sophie just flipped off the basketball gods. This wasn't a critique, it was a full-blown smear campaign. And the internet? Oh, it ate. Clips of Sophie setting basic screens were treated like war crimes. Fans became forensic analysts breaking down the footage like it was the Zapruder film. Meanwhile, Sheryl was trending not for her resume, but for delivering a verbal slam dunk in metaphorical flip-flops.
You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So, I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen.
And what did you make of Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC?
It was a flagrant foul.
I think it's like defending the team, or how do you
And the pettiest part? This wasn't a strategic breakdown or thoughtful analysis, it was pure hold my mic energy. It felt less like post-game commentary and more like a roast battle on ESPN2. Sophie, to her credit, kept doing her thing, being aggressively mid in the most confrontational way possible. And Caitlin? Poor girl looked like she stumbled into a Real Housewives reunion by mistake. The outrage was so extra you'd think Sophie brought a folding chair into the paint and went full WWE. Spoiler, she didn't. But Sheryl saw a gritty white girl with ponytail energy and said, yes, the villain. Meanwhile, no outrage. About the elbows Caitlin's caught this season like she's in a UFC ring. No smoke for the shoulder checks and body slams she takes every time she touches the ball.
Definitely the W, especially if Sophie Cunningham is going to continue to fight people for messing with Caitlin Clark, because it feels like Caitlin Clark is going to get treated in a certain way in this league for a long time. She's not a rookie anymore. Okay? She's already proved herself. She's won. And then there were some, ladies last night that were trying to go a little physical. And in last year, I think something we noticed, and I think a lot of people noticed, is when Caitlin would get bullied, nobody would do nothing.
That's right.
Nobody would do nothing. It was like, hey, they didn't know, like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this to Caitlin Clark. Teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah. Yep.
Boom!
Wow.
JC Sheldon, that's cute. You want to poke her in the eye, then push her into a boom, maybe thing? Go ahead. I'll take a take foul, and you'll eat the deck a little bit here. And then we'll get out. I love it.
And here's where it gets rich. Sheryl Swoopes built a career on being a fierce, physical, take no prisoners baller is now pretending Sophie Cunningham's ruining the purity of the game. Sis, your highlight reels were basically contact sports. Documentaries. The irony is so thick it needs a butter knife. Let's call it what it is, a power play from someone who's struggling to accept that the WNBA spotlight has moved on. Swoopes used to be the queen bee. Now the hive's buzzing around Caitlin Clark and everything's just a little too loud for her liking. But instead of calling out cheap shots or obvious bias, she zeroes in on Sophie because Sophie had the nerve to have a spine. And let's not get it twisted, calling Sophie dirty is laughable. She's not throwing haymakers. She's doing her job. Screens, box outs, tough defense. It's called basketball, not a ballet recital.
You got a girl like Caitlin on your team, and you got a star on your team like Luka or Bron. Yeah, some hitters on that team that'll go hard for the main player. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And as it should. But I think the physical element is just part of the game, man. And I don't know why we keep trying to discount it. But basketball is a physical sport, and that physicality actually comes into play, into how you play. You getting stronger. You know what I'm saying? Of us playing defense on you ain't nothing but you being stronger, being able to be in a distress, situation and then deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So
if Sophie's dirty, then the 2004 Pistons were full-blown criminals. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is being treated like a piñata at a toddler's birthday party, and the moment someone steps in to protect her, here comes the league's moral compass. Swinging like a judge on reality TV, and the internet lit up like a Steph Curry heat check. Memes flying, fans flaming, because this wasn't about integrity, it was about ego. And the hypocrisy, Olympic level. You can't glorify physicality and trash talk all season, then clutch pearls the second Sophie pushes back. It's not like she went full Dennis Rodman, just refused to play NPC in the Caitlin Clark saga.